BTL, coming at you. Good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing, man?
I did something yesterday that I don't think I've done before.
Ate an entire bag of pecans.
No, I've done that before. Edwin sends them every year. I went back on the way home and listened to our interview with Larry Nixon again.
It was really good.
Dude
he was good,
told
man.
Some awesome stories.
Yeah.
I think he enjoyed it. I asked you after the show. I said, man, okay, the guy's telling stories about the 1980s. He's been interviewed since the late 1970s. He's talked to everyone and everything and been asked every question from classics to cups and tours and everywhere.
Yeah.
Said, do you think the guy gets tired of doing interviews? I mean, does it just seem robotic after a while?
Yeah.
And I said after that interview, I think the guy might have enjoyed that one. We got him to laugh a couple of times. We got him to think. You ask him a couple questions where he's like, I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think he's like, here we go again, just another interview?
I sent him a text afterwards. I said, hey, greatly appreciate you coming on the show. And really, really good stuff. Thank you for being on our show. And he responded back. He said, anytime. Anytime you want me on, let me know.
There you go.
So great show yesterday. If you haven't listened to it, one of the icons of the game, Mr. Larry Nixon, and got a lot of feedback from that show too.
I will go out on a limb and say it. I think that was one of our top 10 shows in the history of BTL.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was really, really, really good.
The Aaron Martin Cat Show would be up there. I'm trying to think. Okay, here, let's rank them in 2 seconds. The Aaron Martin Cat Show. Remember that? We were going to have him name the cat meow, and then you accidentally ran the meowing sound, and we didn't know that the viewers could hear it, but we couldn't. So there's cats meowing in the background for his whole interview, and then he's like, bro, why are you making fun of me like that? And we're like, we didn't know the cats were meowing in the background.
Yeah.
The Steve Kennedy where the power company knocked down the line.
Yeah.
That show was a good one.
Man, that was like 7 years ago.
That was a long time ago. What were some of the other good ones? The David Dudley raccoon hunting live show.
Yeah, where he got caught
way back in the game. He got caught in a barbed wire fence.
Yeah,
I wasn't there for that one, but I remember that one.
that was me and Judasy.
There's 3. There's got to be a couple other ones.
Yeah,
those 3 stick out in my mind.
Definitely. I don't know, man. It's a lot of shows.
I guess from the content standpoint, the Larry Nixon one.
Yeah.
Oh, the Kellen Ellis one was pretty good that we had earlier this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. So today, though, we've got a kind of a different show, kind of an unknown. I mean, nothing against the guy, but kind of an unknown. His name is Jimmy Washam. And I thought it would be a cool idea to have somebody on that is very inspired to make it to the next level. And this is kind of what the guy has done. He's fished the BFLs. He fished the Costas. What, for 3 years, Matt? Is that right?
Yeah, fished the Costas for 3 years. He's out of Covington, Tennessee. He's fished 34.
Memphis area.
34 events with FLWs. He's fished off and on, some not a full season all of the years, but from 2012 kind of on in the Mississippi division of the BFLs, and then moved up in the Costas 17, 18, and 19, and has made the championship in 17 and 19 for the Costa Championship.
Yeah, so we're going to get his take on his future plans and kind of the fishing side of it, the business side of it, and really interested to hear what he has to say. He does have a full-time gig. He's a deputy sheriff and I'm not sure what community it is, if it's in Memphis or a community outside of Memphis.
But he is he's committed to fishing the FLW Pro Circuit in 2019.
Yeah. So we'll find out how that is going to work out with his schedule, if he's going to continue being an officer of the law. Wasn't Cliff Crochet a sheriff at one time?
He was, of Pierre Part, Louisiana.
Sheriff?
He was a sheriff. Now, I don't know if it was a town or a parish or how that worked. But I believe he might have been the youngest sheriff in the history of Pierre Part. I think he was like a sheriff when he was 19.
What? No, there's no way.
19 or 20?
No way.
Oh, we could call him up and ask him.
No
He'd
way.
be in a good mood with as good as his Tigers have been doing.
Yeah.
So
there's no way he was a sheriff at 19.
I don't know.
Can you text him during the show?
I'll text him right now.
Yeah. Ask him.
He's got 2 young kids. He's up.
Ask him how old was he when he was a sheriff? When he became a sheriff in whatever parish, community, town, whatever it was down there. So really good show today. We'll see what he has to say. But the big news yesterday, Matthew, Scott Martin making the decision to fish the Opens. As you text. Can you not text and talk?
Well, sorry. I accidentally got it halfway written under Cliff Pace instead of Cliff Crochet because I only have 2 of the Cliffs, so I'm sure Cliff Pace would have been... Huh? Wait, I'm a sheriff?
Yeah.
So like I said, big news that he said he was going to announce at 3 p.m. and he comes out 15 minutes. It was a kind of a pre-recorded deal.
It wasn't live?
No.
Oh, I thought he did it live.
No. There were like, what are those? Not emojis. There were, what is that called when you have like pictures and stuff in the video and like sound effects? It was like edited.
Okay.
And then in coordination, obviously it wasn't a surprise to Bass because a lengthy article moments after the interview or after his announcement went up on Bassmaster. And he's fishing 18. Cliff Crochet. How old were you when you became a sheriff? 18. Don't doubt me.
How is that possible?
You want me to ask him? No.
We may have to call him later. Just ask him if we can call him later on.
Can we call you? You want to call him right now for BTL and ask him?
No, because he's got a tight schedule. We got about 8 minutes before before we get Jimmy on.
Okay, I'll just answer in the most Cliff Crochet answer possibly. 10-4.
There you have it.
What were we talking about?
Scott Martin.
Oh, yeah. So he's fishing the Opens.
Yeah.
20 years FLW.
Yeah.
Very neutral, well-spoken.
As always.
Release.
Yeah.
Basically wants to win the Bassmaster Classic in honor of Roland, who has 9 Angler of the Year titles, 18 wins, 18 seconds, and 0 Bassmaster Classic titles.
Yeah.
So the only way to do that, win an Open, get in, qualify for the Elite Series and get in.
Did you know he was named after Ray Scott?
Did not. Did you?
No, I had no idea.
Did you know he'd been a life member of Bass since at birth?
Did not know that either. It's a long time.
You want to talk about... Do you not feel like there's a lot of guys who bitch and moan about the tournament directors? And they did this and they did that.
In any sport game, whatever you want to call it, the director gets hammered.
Now, how tight do you think Roland and Ray Scott, who was the owner and all that there, the guy's first call was to Ray Scott after his kid was born? I don't see that happening in today's climate.
No. Maybe. I don't know. But no, that's a good point, Matthew. So here's the question that I throw to you now. Does he make it to the elites after one season?
I mean, it starts in Florida. He's going to fish all 8. The way that works, top 4 anglers who fish all 8, they get to drop 2 tournaments, so they take their best 6. I would imagine out of the anglers fishing all 8, there can't be more than 50 or 60 of those guys because that's a full tour schedule from Oklahoma all the way up to upstate New York, Florida, South Carolina, back. Texas, the whole 9 yards. So out of those 50, you get to drop your 2 worst ones. You know everybody doing it has one goal. I would expect to see a lot of former FLW Tour anglers that are trying to do that. You look at his track record of AOY finishes on the FLW Tour. Yeah, I think he gets it done.
I think he does too. And here, I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I say he makes it his first year, and out of the 8 events, he wins an Open.
To get into the Classic.
Yes.
Now, this is the real story. It's a big get that Scott Martin coming back to Bass. How much more interest does this one decision put on the Bassmaster Opens? How many more eyeballs? Not to mention the 250,000 followers he has in the video production that's going to go along with it and put it. I'll be honest, I will be more interested in following the Opens than the Elite Series this year to the storylines of the guys that are either trying to get back or trying to get into the Elite
There's
Series.
some validity to that statement.
I would love to see Bass do a final day Bass live from each of the Opens. That would be awesome because you've got a classic spot on the line.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many storylines that these guys can follow, and we haven't even seen the list of guys that are fishing it yet because they're still putting it together. But I think there's going to be some big names, and there's going to be some tight races. So you'll be looking at the AOY race in the Elite Series and the Open race.
Yeah.
Overall, between, I think it's going to come down to about 10 guys, 8 of which we probably know really well.
No, I agree. Drama, definitely. And that's a great idea to have that on the final day. Expensive, but who knows? A lot of storylines there. Now, we only have about 3 or 4 minutes, but I do want to ask you this. We can get into it after we have our guest on. You can kind of mention it right now. Should Bass have opened it up to 100 and just said, you know what? There's guys out there we need to invite
into the Elite Series again?
Yeah. Let's just bring them back.
This is I think the term is a potato or 6 one-way half. I think
it's Pandora's box is what it is. That creates all kinds of issues.
You have to take what happened last year and hold last year and that winter spring is a completely standalone subject. Like that, you can't rely on that because that was such a unique situation.
Yeah.
I don't know behind closed doors what the 75 anglers who competed on the Elite Series this year were promised from Bass as far as the inclusion of anglers who may want to come back or other anglers coming into it. I don't know what those promises were made. Hey, you stuck with us. Hey, you're in. We're not going to let anyone else in. Whether there's a clause in that opens it up to it. There are so many options. I mean, if I'm an Elite Series guy and I stayed or I qualified, do I want guys to just come on? No. Do I see the added value? Yes. Do I also see how Bass just proved in 2019 based on the numbers and the interest that was generated on the Elite Series without the big names that go by first names or just last names or initials, and they still generated interest with these quote-unquote unknown anglers, that it is now necessary to have these massive names back on for it to survive? Well, Bass just proved that that's not necessary.
Yeah.
It's the brand, not the names. So I think it's kind of counterproductive if you let the names back on by saying that it enhances the brand when you just proved that the brand survives without the names.
It's a great point, man. Man, we are agreeing way too much lately.
And here's the other thing. If you want guys that get back on and stuff, there has to be consequences for your actions. Mark, you are a preacher of that, correct?
What?
Consequences for your actions.
Yes.
Coaching, teaching, in life, business decisions, everything. Got to be consequences for your action.
Yeah.
If you leave, if you've opted not to do that, the consequence is you can't just come back whenever you want. You got to qualify for it.
Yeah.
You got to go through those steps to qualify for it. And if you're as good as you think you are and you've proven to be in the past, then you'll qualify for it and be back on and have everyone's respect because you've earned to be back there. You haven't just been placed back there.
I agree. 100%, man. You're dead on.
Jimmy Washam, he earned his spot on the FLW Pro Circuit next year with a 3rd place finish in the Costas, the Central Division.
Yeah.
He caught him on lakes that I didn't.
All right. We're going to talk to him here shortly. Everybody stay tuned on a Wednesday.
You are serious about catching fish. That HDS is a dead giveaway. You've got the best fish finding sonar money can buy. Time to build the ultimate fish finding system with live sight sonar. See what your lure is doing in real time. Watch fish strike as it happens. See for yourself. Take the Live Sight Sonar 30-day challenge. If Live Sight Sonar doesn't help you find and catch more fish, send it back, no questions asked.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com. We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
I want to share to you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC liter size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for liters only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a liter, go check out Sunline FC Liter 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the Rock Crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I got my power pole down, stuck in the mud in the bottom of the lake, sitting so still in the wind and the waves, could even be a hurricane. I got my power pole down.
Meet AFTCO's iCast award-winning Hydronaut waterproof system. Hydronaut features a 20K 100% waterproof shell, double dry cuffs to keep water out, speed vent hood engineered to prevent neck strain at high rates of speed, AFTCO exclusive Cyclops tactical camera mount, Comfort Flex shoulder straps for all-day comfort, outerwear that you can count on. The Hydronaut waterproof system by AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
All right, we are back, wrapping up the week on a Wednesday. And I don't usually talk about stuff like this. We're going to get to our guest here real quick, but this really bothered me, man. Have we ever had a caller or somebody on the instant feedback from South Dakota? that you know of? Can you remember anybody from South Dakota?
Jamie Freilich, Monty Freilich.
No, a guest. I'm talking about a fan.
I fished with a dude in the Bass Nation from South Dakota, him and his dad. They're good dudes. I think they made the national championship.
Have you heard about this campaign that they paid $500,000 for to an ad agency?
Who did?
The state of South Dakota.
No.
Yeah, they have a huge meth problem in South Dakota.
I was unaware of the meth problem in South Dakota.
Yeah. So the tagline on the campaign is meth. We're on it.
I get it. But it's like we're on it because everyone's on it, but then also we're on the problem.
Right. So it's causing one thing. It's got a lot of people talking about it.
We're talking about it on a bass fishing show.
Yeah, and maybe the awareness and maybe there's some reverse psychology or something that people are becoming aware that there's an issue in South Dakota. But
we got Jimmy Washam on the phone. It's probably his first interview as a professional bass angler, and he's getting introduced talking about meth in South Dakota. I don't think he saw that coming.
No, it's just kind of how we roll here, though. But $500,000 to come up with that campaign.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Which I want you to think about. Maybe later in the show we can touch on it. What were some of the best campaigns that came out in the fishing world?
Oh, yeah, we can definitely get on that
we'll get into that here in a minute. All right, it is time for our special guest. And pretty impressive. The guy is definitely
solid,
taking it in steps and trying to get to the point that he wants to get at.
He's
and
solid.
I thought it would be a great idea to get somebody like Jimmy on the show and talk about how he wants to progress and get to the next level. So he's actually, hang on here, he's actually working right now. So hopefully he doesn't have to break away. So let's bring him in. Jimmy, you there, man?
I'm here. Hey, Matt, Mark, thanks for having me.
All right, man. Hopefully you don't get a call while we're doing the interview here.
BTL PD Live.
Yeah, I should be good. I've been excused from the street for a moment, so I can catch up with y'all guys.
All right. Well, we just confirmed that Cliff Crochet became a sheriff at the age of 18. You're the law enforcement. Is that impressive to you?
That is exceptionally impressive. When we're talking about the sheriff, I know that
the sheriff.
You know, the way that Louisiana does their parishes and stuff, I'm not as up on that as I would be with Tennessee. But that's impressive. That's a bad dude at 18 running, as the sheriff and the election and handling business.
Absolutely. All right, man. Let's back up a little bit. How did this whole thing get started? You wanting to get involved in tournament fishing and kind of tell us and the fans the progression of where you're at today.
Yeah, well, it started for me when I was old enough to crawl into a boat with my dad, fishing the old school favorite. A lot of guys listening might know about it, from North Mississippi, Sardis Reservoir. It was hot back in the late 80s and early 90s, and as a matter of fact, my nickname on that lake, I was known as the kid called Wheel 'em In, because my poor dad, he could never keep a place secret, because everybody could hear me across the lake. Every time he'd stick one on a old Bagley 3-inch B, I'd run to the front deck of the boat and say, "Let me wheel him in, let me wheel him in," screaming it. So that was my nickname. Everybody knew where my dad was catching fish, but grew up fishing Sardis and progressed in. I fished some little charity tournaments with my dad as I got older, and after college, I unfortunately I missed out on the college game with fishing. It really kind of cranked up right after I got out of college. But when I started a day job out of college, I joined a bass club, fished that for several years, met some great guys, and a couple of them had talked to me about FLW, and I really didn't know anything about, stepping into even the format or how you went through the process to fish it, but was kind of guided into it. So in 2012, I decided, at that time I had a bass tracker, and I'd fished charity tournaments, along the way in it. But 2012, I decided I'd go and try the co-angler deal, and I was working at Bass Pro Shops at that time, and so I fished the first 4 events of the co-angler. Really enjoyed myself, fished with some cool guys, and September of that year, I actually got involved in law enforcement. I got hired in Tipton County at the sheriff's office. And as y'all probably know, that's a demanding job. And so that put a halt to it there for a moment. But I knew all along that was something that, I wasn't giving up on. It was just going to kind of postpone it. So worked along. I'd still fish a charity tournament here or there and fished all the time. It was, since I was a little kid, it's been my dream to make it to the top. So 2015, I saw it as a good time where I'd put some time in at work and a good opportunity to go back as a co-angler. So I did and had a good year. And I kind of got to thinking at the end of 2015, I need to figure out how to upgrade my boat and get something where I can jump in as a boater. So going into 2016, I made an investment on a 1998 Ranger R82, 18-foot boat. It had been repowered, and by the grace of God, my second BFL that I fished out of that boat, I won it at Pickwick and paid the boat off. That really helped me kind of propel into where I was a little bit more comfortable financially moving forward with the bass tournament scheme. So had a good year. I ended up having a pretty good showing in the regional that year. And it was one of those deals where I maybe could have expedited my climb up the ladder in that regional. I was 5th at Dardanelle going into day 3, and they take the top 6 for the All-American, as you know. And actually choked on day 3. The creek I was catching fish in started, I ran up in there on the beginning of day 3, and the water was sucking out of it. And I knew I was in trouble. I didn't really know the lake first time I'd been on it. So fell to 8th, and that was the year that it was actually at Pickwick the next year, which is what I call my home lake. And that was Justin Atkins was right there with me, and he made the All-American and had a great finish in that All-American the next year. So I just missed it on that one, but from that point, I had a good year, and I felt like I'd proven to myself that I need to, be progressive with my approach to the fishing scheme and try to keep moving forward. So I decided to move up to the Costas. So in 2017, I joined the Central Division of the Costas, and the first tournament we're back on Dardanelle, and I'm in my little 18-foot Ranger, kind of feel out of place, and it's funny, I first Costa, and I'm, basically feel like a lost little kid there and wondering if I belong there, and I dump the boat in the water and pull up, park on the bank, and it starts getting light, and I look to my left, and it's Tom Reddington. I look to my right, and it's Fred Rumbenis, and I'm like, what have I got myself into? So I ended up having a good tournament and made a paycheck, had a solid finish, and that was kind of the pivotal moment in my progression up the ladder where I said, hey, I can do this. I belong here. It's just fishing. It doesn't matter who's to your left or who's to your right. You're catching fish. So 2017 was a good year. I think I cashed 2 out of 3 checks. And at the end of 2017 is when I went through a rut that I feel like benefited me in the long run. I started having boat trouble at the Costa Championship, and day 1 of practice, the boat broke down, the motor quit, and I spent the rest of practice trying to get it fixed, and I ended up driving back to Memphis the night before day 1 and swapping boats with somebody. I didn't do well in that tournament, and I kept telling myself this is something I'll get through, no big deal. So the next year I back on the Costa Central Division, and the first tournament I lost a day of practice at Table Rock. I'd never been there, and same thing, same motor issues. So didn't have a good finish in that tournament. The next tournament was at Kentucky Lake, and I actually had motor issues again. And got disqualified on day 1 with fish in the live well. I broke down, headed back, making a long run back from Paris to the dam and actually to Barkley State Park, and got disqualified. So now I'm trending on 3 tournaments where I've had motor issues, and it's really starting to get to me, and I'm starting to wonder, is this something that I'm cut out for? Is this something that's worth it? And I said, I really feel like this is a test. If I can keep my head up and get through this, there's good times on the other side. So decided all the money and the time that I was investing in the fishing, I needed to upgrade boats. So between the second and third stop on the Costas that year, I sold the Ranger and upgraded to a 2016 Ranger. And it was crazy what the new equipment did in my confidence. And that first tournament I fished out of it, I had a 12th place finish at Lake of the Ozarks. And from there, the confidence really started building. So this year, 2019, I kind of went all in. I said, this is my chance. I've got the vacation time built up at work. All the money I've made in fishing has gone in the bank. This is my chance to go for it and do what I've always dreamed of. So I was really blessed with the first stop this year with a 4th place finish at Kentucky Lake that, put me in a great spot in the points. I had a consistent finish at Table Rock and a consistent finish at Lake of the Ozarks and ended up landing in 3rd place, and here I am.
That's a good story. It's weird. I'm the same. We've paralleled each other, dude. Like I start out at an 18.5-foot skeeter. My first BFL. I'm writing this down. I'm intimidated by Jason Christie. 2013, I drop out of qualified for the All-American because I suck on the 3rd day of the regional. I finished 10th, miss it by a half a pound, and then I had boat trouble this year at the Costa Championship.
Wow. Yep.
That's wild.
There's going to be some trials along the way.
And before we get into it, I have to really commend you for being able to catch them on Lake of the Ozarks this year. I caught 3 fish in 2 days out there, dude. Like, what was the secret? Just give me some little hope on where I went wrong there.
Yeah, well, the year before when I missed the top 10 cut by 1 ounce, I caught fish 35 foot deep on day 1. About the deepest fish I've ever caught in a lake like that. And on day 2, which is common Ozark, what I'm figuring out now, common Ozark, type deal, I caught fish on docks about 5 foot deep. So day 1 this year, I caught fish on points and kind of offshore stuff. That's really what I have the most confidence in fishing. And I really lucked up. I had 1 big bite. I had a solid bag, and it put me in a good spot on day 1. So I like to fish to win, but in that circumstance, I said, I want to qualify for the pro circuit. Don't bomb on day 2. So day 2 rolls around and it's 11:30, and I've got an empty live well, and I'm starting to spin out, as bad as you could imagine. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna put on something I got confidence in. I've had confidence in for years. I picked up my favorite little jig, and actually was going between docks and had the trolling motor on high and just made a wild cast just to keep my bait wet between docks, and it landed on the bank. And when I picked it up, I said, man, I'm hung, and my line started moving. I caught a good fish, and I realized that those fish had pulled up to main lake banks, and they were literally in water shallow enough that where you figured you could see them. So from there, I ran around like a wild man and scratched out a limit, and it put me where I needed to be.
It's good stuff.
But it was definitely tricky. Those fish made a huge move in that nasty weather.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so now you're moving on. You're going to fish the circuit next year. How is that progress going from a sponsorship standpoint, and what are you doing both mentally, physically, tackle-wise, equipment-wise to get ready for this?
Well, from the partnership standpoint, it couldn't be going any better. Since 2018, last year, I joined with Primary Tackle Company, a tackle company located in the Memphis area, and they've really been loyal to me and worked hard to help me out. So I've got them behind me, and this year I became a partner in Black Bass Tackle Industries, making jigs. I'm helping design jigs and spinner baits and making some high quality stuff. And the owner, Jeremy, who I will forever from this point on jokingly refer to as my agent, the one that reached out to y'all guys.
Yeah.
He founded that company, and as we worked together and built some stuff that was really catching fish, he offered me a partnership in that. So got them behind me as well. But as of yesterday, I have still got some details working out, but I have acquired a partnership with EGR Premium Auto Accessories. They make stuff to trick your truck out, like window visors and fender flares and stuff like that. And so I have a partnership in the non-endemic side as my title sponsor. So looking forward to getting that truck tricked out and hitting the road and catching some fish for them.
That's big.
Heck yeah.
I mean, Scott Canterbury doesn't have a title sponsor right now. Larry Dixon doesn't have a title sponsor right now. You got one, and it's a non-endemic Jimmy.
Yes, sir. It's it really is a wild game as far as the business. It kind of hit me in the face like, wow, this is not as easy as it may look from the looking from the outside in. But the business side of it is I'm learning just as important as the catch and fish side of it. But I'm working hard at it. Feel like I've got a pretty good grip on it, and I'm looking forward to offering the value that I can carry at a national level to help benefit people and reach a mutual benefit. So,
all right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, man.
Yeah, as far as the tackle goes, every day I get off work, I'm organizing stuff and cleaning up hooks, cleaning up baits, doing everything I can to just slowly progress into being organized and as prepared as I can possibly be. As far as being on the water right now, I'm kind of in between boats. I'm looking to sell my 2016 Ranger and join the Ranger Pro staff this year. So I've got the new one on order and waiting to get it rigged and going. But as soon as I got it operating, I'll get out of the deer stand and the duck blind and, get back on the water to prepare for Sam Rayburn.
All right, very nice. Now, what is the story about the crankbait and Dion Hibdon?
Cool. I don't know how that word got around, but that's a pretty awesome deal. Dion, he's a great dude. I didn't know him, but at that regional at Dardanelle, I knew who he was, but we'd never met. And I'm just a little kid that lucked up and caught a good bag of fish on day 2, but I was catching them on a round bill Bagley and fire tiger. Well, I got on day 2, I caught one of the biggest bags of the tournament and caught it pretty early. And they were just on that bait. It was one of those deals where I lucked up and had, I had the deal going. Well, the only one I had, this old school bait you can't find anymore, I got it hung on something about 5 foot deep, and I spent 30 minutes trying to get that bait back. I could reel down to it, couldn't get it. It was in some kind of fish trap or something crazy. So I break it off. Well, at the weigh-in, before the conclusion of the weigh-in, I see Dion, and I'm like, hey, man, you got any of these round bill Bagleys and fire tiger? He says, let me look in my boat. Well, he finds 3 of them. So I'm pumped. That's a hard bait to find. So go out on day 3, and I caught some fish on the bait, but unfortunately the conditions just changed, and I fell from 5th to 8th. But anyway, I held on to those baits and never threw them again since then. I said, I'm going to make sure I get them back to Dion. He told me just keep them. He said, shoot, I got more at the house. But I said, no, I'm going to get them back to him. So this year at Kentucky Lake, I finally caught him on like the last day of practice at a ramp that we both put in on, and pulled up next to him and said, Dion, I don't know if you remember, bud, but you gave me 3 Bagleys back a couple years ago, and I really appreciate it. I've held on to them, hadn't even thrown them since then, and handed them to him. So we go into the next day, the first day of the tournament, and I met him at the weigh-in line waiting to go to the scales, and I had a pretty good bag. I had a second place bag that day, a 20-pound sack, and he looks down at me and he goes, well, I know you didn't catch them on a Bagley crankbait because you gave me those back yesterday.
That's pretty cool.
That's a great story.
That
was awesome. But I'm forever grateful for somebody who's accomplished the things that he has to be so down to earth to just give a kid some crankbaits to catch fish on.
So you didn't know him? You just walked up to her like, hey, Dion, like I know you probably have a lot of stuff. Like my name's Jimmy. Can I have some crankbaits? Or like you kind of knew him or?
No, I knew him because I'm a fishing fan and, know what the things that he's done and, in the fishing game, but didn't know him. I was desperate at that point.
That's awesome.
Do you have any rare discontinued crankbaits that I could have? My name's Jimmy, and he just went, yeah, here's 3, keep them?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down. And
that's awesome.
I'd say 9 out of 10 people are, even if they had, a whole box dedicated to discontinued Bagleys, they're going to say, no, I don't have any. But Dion pulled through for me, so I will never forget that.
Awesome. All right, now, Dave on the instant feedback, and I have this question also because Matt and I have this discussion all the time. What would you define success for you next year?
Well, in my opinion, to keep moving forward in this game, you have to catch fish and make money. The business side of it is becoming ultra important as I made it to this level. But so representing the guys that helped me and showing them the benefit is going to be important. But the main thing is to catch fish and make money, and that's the way I've always looked at it. If when I moved up to the BFLs, I said, well, I'm going to do this a year, and if I'm not making money at it, if I'm not winning enough, then I don't belong here. Same thing in the Coastas. I said, even though I went through that tough time, I was still making money at it, and I wasn't just losing out, and I wasn't donating. So for next year, it's catching fish, making money. I've got the confidence, and I also understand that it's not going to be easy. There's a lot of lakes on the schedule that I've never seen, and going to be some new environments for me. But it's bottom line, fishing is fishing. As complicated as we want to make it, the bottom line is putting fish in the live well and bringing them to the scale. So if I can be consistent and get paid and catch some fish, then that will be a huge success for me, so I can continue doing it, from here on out.
I'm curious, and this is no disrespect to the area or anything. I'm just not familiar with it from a bass fishing perspective. I know about some of the surrounding areas around Memphis, but what is the bass fishing tournament scene like in Memphis?
Well, there's several trails that got some really good sticks on them, and of course Pickwick is, even though it's a 2-hour drive for me, Pickwick and Kentucky Lake's 2.5. Those, as y'all know, you got a ton of big team stuff and a lot of fishing that goes on the Tennessee River. So, but we've got some good oxbows and backwater areas off the Mississippi River. We've got North Mississippi Core Lakes. There's some state lakes that have got some giant fish, within reasonable driving distance for me. So I really feel like the area that I have grown up in benefits me as far as versatility, because I can go and fish milfoil and hydrilla. I can go, fish offshore on Tennessee River. I can go fish backwater in a Mississippi River oxbow, throw a spinnerbait, and really anything I want to do within driving distance.
Very cool. Now, some people want to know, from a family perspective, are you married? Do you have kids? You single? What's the scoop on that?
I am married, been married to my beautiful wife, Danielle, for 3 years now, and I've got a little boy that just turned 2. The wife is extremely supportive of my endeavor. That was the number one thing to me. As I've moved up, this becomes a increasingly larger financial risk, putting a lot on the line. So the wife has backed it. We've had more than one serious conversation about how this may affect the family, good or bad, and she's behind me. I've tried to put it, myself in a position where I can provide for my family in the worst case scenarios. So things are good on that end. I've got support from the family, and I definitely couldn't be making this this leap without that.
Very cool.
63 days.
Yeah. 63
days. And Sam Rayburn.
It's coming in hot for sure.
Yeah, you fishing any of the other FLW Series divisions or anything, or are you just taking on the 7 Pro Circuit stops this year?
I may jump in 1 or 2, but right now my focus is on the Pro Circuit and that entire schedule, because as a deputy sheriff, I've built up some vacation time, but I love my job. I love serving the community. I love what I do, and while I know it's going to be 2 full-time jobs and a lot on my plate, I'm more than committed to keeping the job my full-time job, and staying where people have been good to me in the past, and also fishing the Pro Circuit. So that will cut down on the extracurricular or the additional stuff that I can go and hop around and fish, like Costas, BFLs, and other stuff.
One of the things that I remember about Memphis Matt, and the numerous times that we went across that bridge, it just sticks in my mind, is that one show that Bill Dance did where he was catching catfish right by the frickin' bridge. He would drift down and he would drift right by the bridge. Have you ever done that, Jimmy?
I have. Back when in the bass tractor days, you know, now I'm not as willing to put a new Ranger in the Mississippi River as well. I'm not scared to do it, but I'd rather go to the Tennessee River for that. But back in the bass tractor days, my dad and I had done some of that drifting, and always, you know, thought it'd be cool to catch one of those giant blue cats. But we never caught any monsters. But you know, a 20-pound blue cat while you're drifting, just kind of bouncing it off the bottom, they will absolutely annihilate it. So I have done that, and it's a lot of fun.
Very cool. All right, last thing I want to ask you: would you mind having a camera in your police vehicle, like Live PD? That seems to be a very, very popular show right now.
Jeffries loves that. Every time he's around a TV, he's got Live PD on.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I would. Of course, that would that would take some okays from people up the chain above me, but that wouldn't bother me at all. I'm proud to represent and serve my community, and I've always have and always will treat people with respect, and really look forward every day when I wake up. I have a more of an opportunity to benefit someone in a positive way than just your average occupation. So yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be down for that for sure.
All right, now have you ever arrested somebody and ended up talking bass fishing with them?
All the time.
Really?
All the time. Oh yeah. That's my goal is to never have to arrest anybody, but in my job sometimes I got to do what I got to do. But I've definitely had those talks on the way to jail with folks about catching fish or deer hunting or duck hunting, and I think it helps take their mind off of what's going on too. So. Common interest is something that's easy to associate with.
So, like, they're sitting in the back of the paddy wagon, and you're driving up to the jail, and you're like, "Sir, when I put the handcuffs on, I couldn't help but notice you had a good case of bass thumb." Is that how that comes up?
I don't know if I've ever noticed the bass thumb, or even the big fish bass hand that leaks over into the palm, but. Maybe it'd be something I saw, on the scene I was on, or maybe they're wearing a fishing hat or something like that, and just strike up the conversation and show them, pictures of the last big fish I caught while I'm riding down the road.
Now, are you in Memphis, or are you just outside of Memphis?
I'm the county north of the county that Memphis is in.
Okay. All right.
So just above it. Actually, I grew up in a suburb of Memphis, and I'm about 30 minutes north of Memphis now.
All right.
I couldn't help but noticing that bass sticker in the back of your trunk full of heroin.
Jeez. Are you a life member?
You're about to be a life member of two things.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on in South Dakota nowadays, too.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. All right, man.
That might have crossed the line. I'm sorry. I wasn't.
That's good
I thought
stuff,
it was funny. It amused me.
That's good stuff. All right, Jimmy, man, we're going to let you go, get back to work. But, man, sounds like you got your act together, and wish you nothing but the best. And hopefully you can come back on the show with some hardware and a little check in your pocket.
That's right. I would love to continue this story in the future.
Absolutely. All right, man. Happy holidays to you and your family. And 60 days will be here before you know it, man. It's coming.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate y'all's time, and y'all have a great Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
All right, man. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Good stuff, man.
He's got it. Like, you want to take a prototypical of how it works, how you're supposed to do it, how you're supposed to realize where you are and where your position is in the standings, and when it's time to move up, and when it's time to assess your risks, and when it's time to make the jump. I mean, that's the dude right there. And like we've always said, that FLW Tour, now the FLW Pro Circuit, there's a lot of anglers on that who do maintain a full-time job. And aside from like kind of a 3-week span there, you can take a week off once a month and still go back and do your job for the first 3 months of the season. And then you have another month off in one. So, I mean, I wish them all the best. And like that Central Division, it was Kentucky Lake, Table Rock, and Lake of the Ozarks. Kentucky Lake, ridiculously tough.
Yeah.
Guy finished 4th there. Lake of the Ozarks, super easy. I'm not giving him much credit there. Like literally you could catch a fish anywhere on that. Yeah. And Lake of the Ozarks, really, really, really tough. Yeah. So, he can catch them.
Yeah. And from the business side, it sounds like he's got all the things going in the right direction there. Family has support, and wish him the best, man. We'll see how he does.
Absolutely.
I think this is a first that we've mentioned meth and heroin in the same show.
And had a cop on. And texted Crochet, who was a cop.
Are we going to call him real quick?
No.
No? He said no?
No, I didn't ask about that.
Okay.
We got other stuff we would talk about.
All right, what do you got?
So we didn't even talk on it that the Pro Circuit came out with their details. There's been 3, it's a moving process as to how this is going to look, obviously, as quickly as everything has happened and stuff. So the schedule, is out. The Rayburn, Harris Chain, Martin, Cherokee, Hartwell, Dardanelle, and Detroit River. And then they announced they'd had all these different formats. It's apparently now the FLW title.
Okay.
Nothing about the Angler of the Year or anything. So I just confirmed with some people. I don't even know. I confirmed. I have confirmation that there are no Angler of the Year points for the FLW title championship. The Angler of the Year will be determined after the 7 regular season events. So that's totally different because before they had said that it would be the Angler of the Year championship. Then they renamed it.
That's cool.
It's the FLW title. And it's going to be run under the Bass Pro Tour format. Catch, weigh, release.
How many people? 50?
And then they cut it, and then the top 10 get cameras. It's the 6-day format that's going to be on the St. Lawrence River. So originally I had an issue with that because I didn't know, and I was like, well, how are you going to determine an Angler of the Year on 2 different formats? But
they're not doing that.
I can live with that. Let those guys, it's kind of a standalone event for them afterwards. It's going to give them a lot of TV exposure, especially if you finish in the top 10. But here's the thing that came to my mind, Mark. So it's on the St. Lawrence River. Bass, obviously, it just signed a 3-year deal with the St. Lawrence River. We've been going there since 2013. It's
forever.
Like the Kentucky Lake of the North now.
Yeah.
Except you still catch them there. And they don't have Asian carp yet.
Yes.
So I was like, man, there's a lot of dirt. Oh, in this release here, I need to point this out. Dang it, there's some release that used the term derby.
People on the West Coast don't like that, man.
Yeah,
they don't like that term.
I can't find it.
Anyway,
I'll
keep
find
going.
it anyway. So I said, man, there's a lot of derbies going on the old SLR this year.
How many?
Listen to this, dude.
I just want to know what they're doing in the period of time where what I think, because I don't know the dates, I think it's like back to 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 back. Over exaggeration.
Listen to this. Bass Pro Tour. These are all in the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah.
June 26th through July 1st. Bassmaster Elite Series. July 23rd through July 26th. FLW title. It's going to take a while to get used to that.
Okay.
FLW title. August 8th through August 13th. FLW Series. August 20th through August 22nd. And the BFL Super for that region, is August 29th and August 30th. That is 5 major tournaments, not to mention all the tournaments that go out of Canada and the team tournaments that go out of the St. Lawrence. That's 6 major tournaments.
The place is going to get hammered.
Between July and the end of August. July and August. That's 6 weeks. 5 major tournaments.
Wow. Here's my question. The community, the chamber, the sports commission, whatever it is, the entity that is paying for all of these tournaments to come there.
Here's the crazy part.
That's an insane amount of money.
Now, Are they all out of the same city? I don't know. I didn't go back and check out whether they're all out of Waddington or they're all out of some other. But if you also remember, wasn't it that city of Waddington that was requesting help to pay for the Elite Series for their fees there? That's a lot of bass. So you're going to have 85 for the Elites. You're going to have 80 on the BPT that's catch-way release. You'll have 50 for the FLW title. You'll probably have 175 for the FLW Series. And for the BFL Super, you'll probably have another 120. Two of those are catchway release. So if you're a largemouth on the St. Lawrence River this summer, it ain't going to be peaceful for you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to play, you're going to be a factor, but that's a lot of smallmouth and a lot of fish on one river.
It's a lot of money,
and
too.
back to back to back. Now, do you feel like the FLW title is going to lose some luster considering that the Bass Pro Tour and the Bassmaster Elite Series will have competed for 10 days on the St. Lawrence River prior to that event going on?
Yes.
Are you going to be as excited to watch that after you've watched 10 days of coverage under two different formats with the biggest leagues in town?
How many anglers? 50 anglers?
50 in the FLW title.
Man, there are so many other places that you could have went to have your own showcase and not feature what has just taken place. And if anybody out there doesn't think that the cloud is going to be over that event based upon what's happened prior to that, you're fooling yourself. Because the fans and the people that follow this, they're going to know everything that took place during all of those prior events coming to there. Now, what happens, Matthew, I'm going to flip it. What happens if, the previous tournaments don't turn out to be as good as they should have been, and then that final tournament rolls into town and they absolutely smash
Well, that's
them? Obviously
going to happen because you look at the fishing up there and you hear the guys talk about, oh, we're a week before, we're a week after, oh, we hit it right on. The water levels change. So one of these events, the BPT, the Elite, the FLW title, the Series, or the BFL Super, will hit it dead on. And there will be an event that said, oh, you guys didn't catch them as good as XYZ.
Yeah.
But that's because there's constantly going to be pressure on that body of water, and then you take into the fact of practice for those events.
Plus
the
everything
FLW
else that goes on
Series and the BFL Super and the title anglers will be up there during the Elite and the BPT.
It's money. It's money, and that community is paying for those events to be showcased in their community. Now, if somebody wants to come on this show or call me or text me or email me and say that none of those organizations are accepting any money from those areas, be it the chamber, be it the sports commission, the travel and tourism, whatever it is, hey, send me that information.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's crazy.
It's overkill, dude.
Like, I know. It's crazy how it's ended up stacking up like that. There's one bass event, and I don't know, there could be a collegiate BASS event. Who knows what else is on there too? But I mean, every single level of FLW is going to the St. Lawrence River between June 26th and August 29th. The BFL Super, the FLW Series, the Pro Tour, the FLW title, and the BPT.
Yeah.
All four. I was trying to think back. I've never remembered a lake where every single stage of competition goes to the same fishery in such a short amount of time.
No.
What do you just like rent a room for the staff? Like you just get a 2-month hotel for
Well, it's
them?
like what they do in bowling. Here, bowling reference, folks. When they have the World Series of Bowling, it takes place for an entire month in Vegas.
Yep.
The World Series of Poker, same thing.
Same thing with the NFR. Hey, we just got poker, bowling, and rodeo in 30
How
seconds,
about that?
Mark.
All right. So, I don't know. And Andy in Indiana makes the point on the instant feedback. Maybe they're saving money from a logistics standpoint.
You know who I want to be right now?
Maybe.
I want to be Seth Fighter getting royalties on my Outcast Tackle Fighter Fly. You don't think those things are going to be flying off the shelves?
Yeah. Hey, man, Dave on the instant feedback, he is blowing it up, wants to know what you're going to fish next year. I mean, he's posted like 12 times.
That's a good question, Dave.
Don't know yet?
Yeah, I know what I'm not going to fish. I'm trying to get into the opens as we speak now. I found a co-angler link, so I need to get confirmed to those. I'm really looking into some of the one bass tournaments out west. I'm trying to talk Jared Miller into going out to Arizona with me.
Yeah.
And we do a week, and we stay an extra couple days and catch red deer. So
very nice.
Some team tournaments around here, and the bass events and the bass regional. I got the bass regional in the end of May on Toledo Bend. So I'll be busy. I'll be fun. What are you fishing next year?
I don't know, dude.
Old Man's Tuesday.
Probably. We forgot to mention, or did we mention it? I don't remember that Gerald Swindle made the switch.
Yeah, we didn't mention any of the stuff that went down to Phoenix. Yeah. That's a long time that he'd been with Triton.
Over 20 years.
A long time that he'd been with Triton.
Yeah.
So.
And people, you can read all kinds of stuff into that, and that's your prerogative, but I think it was purely a business decision.
Love that phrase.
It's what it was. Deals like that, that's what it comes down to. But man, to be with a company for so many years, and I think that's kind of the little clob of snow that turns into the avalanche when it's rolling down the hill. I think we're going to see more of this as we progress.
Is he one of the few guys?
2020.
Is he one of the few guys who might influence actual boat purchases in the fishing community? Like, are there guys, like, how many guys are there out there to be like, Gerald's running this boat, I'm going to go take a look at it if he says it's good? There's not very many guys, do you feel like, that are, that showcase the boat and possibly some features and stuff, but are there fans who run boats specifically because their favorite angler runs boats? Like if Gerald went to a Boston Whaler, are there people who would go out and buy a Boston Whaler just because Gerald Swindle's running a Boston Whaler? That's a serious question.
I think so.
I feel like, looking back on it, like I feel like there were people who ran champions because Skeet Reese and Mike McClellan ran champions.
Yes, but I think that influence of that hands-on experience is really determines what the consumer does. I really do. And I think, you remember, 10, 15 years ago, they didn't have demo rides. They didn't have demo events and all that. And I think that has had a huge impact. Now, if those guys, such as Gerald and Skeet and whoever, are at those events, then yes, I think their personalities, their representation of the brand will definitely have an influence at those demo events.
Like, I think there are people who look at Bass Cat because of Zach Burge and how he likes to have his stuff together with the weird color schemes, and he's all about the speed and being fast and stuff. So they're going to say, I want to go fast and I want to look good, so he's going to draw attention to the Bass Cat. Same with John Cruz.
Dude, Dave is all over you today. He wants to know, put the shoe on the other foot. Matt, what about Bass Cat? Do you think people would buy Bass Cat simply because they saw you on the live for so many hours or days or whatever that it was?
I'll have this conversation. I got no problem having it. Absolutely not. Is someone going to buy a Bass Cat because Matt No, I don't have the resume. I don't have a following. I don't have the proof behind my results. I fished 6 coastas a year of the Open, some Bass Nation stuff, so there's no proof to that. What it does do, though, is I put that boat in a position to be highlighted to where someone could say, ooh, I like this feature on that. Oh, I noticed this when I was watching live. I really like that. I saw how
it's a cool looking boat.
It's a cool looking boat. So it's more, I benefit them because of the awareness that it draws, having it out there in the public, not because of the results that I've had out of it, but the reason that people were able to see it was because of my immediate results, not my past history of results. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
I use it to get it out there. I mean, I don't think people are like, God, you get out there because Panger's running a Bass Cat. No, that would be a horrible business decision. But
well, no, it wouldn't be a horrible business decision. It'd be a good decision.
Well, it would be, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just saying,
to make a decision based upon
me is what I was talking about on that.
It'd be a great business
but right
decision.
Now it's more just about the awareness. Maybe they saw me open up that coffin shaped rod box, and that's interesting. Look how much space was in there.
Yeah.
You know, I need that. I don't have enough space in the middle of my boat currently, or look how wide it is.
I'm going to go back to a topic that we talked about. It was either a week or 2 weeks ago. The demo events, be it boats, be it rods, be it reels, be it tackle, be it whatever. folks, that is something that the industry needs to do. It's being done from a boat and motor perspective, but I think there are other areas of equipment that we use to play this game that could benefit tremendously from some type of demo days event. So I don't know. We'll see if anybody jumps on that.
Yeah, I think the boat thing is important. I just think, I know some guys in Oklahoma that were in the boat market, and they wanted to go look at Hightower's rig because he fished the Elite. Like Dale Hightower didn't win an Elite Series event this year.
Yeah.
But that's a deal through Express where they're like, hey, I want to go check it out. I want to check the seafoam out on this thing. I want to look at it because they knew that he had it and he ran it. So that's valuable to that company.
You know, let me run this by you real quick, and we're getting close to running out of time. But somebody sent me an email and they asked the question, do you think that the wraps take away from the boat brand? And is it more difficult to position the boat brand when you have all those graphics and everything taken over the identity of the boat? What are your thoughts?
It depends. You can see some guys who can use it to highlight it, some guys not. I mean, I definitely could see that.
Yeah.
But I could also see how, if it's just a boat going down the road, you're not even going to look second at it. And even if you can't see all the lines and inlay and detail on it because of the wrap, that wrap's going to draw more attention. So you're going to have more eyeballs on the boat. For the general public, a wrap is going to assume a semblance of expertise, even though once you're in the industry, that has nothing to do with how well you catch fish. But for an outside person, a casual fan, you're going to say, this guy's an expert. He chose to use this boat. He's got it wrapped. Look at all the millions of dollars he's making through his sponsors out of this boat. And now you get legitimacy through it and draw more eyes to your boat. So I can see both sides of that.
All right. And I remember the very first Elite Series event. I've said this before about what Joe Thomas did. He showed up with a clear wrap.
And they said,
no, that's not going to fly. But it was a really, really good idea. Very creative. No, man, I'm representing I think he was running a Ranger. The Ranger brand. I got a wrap on there. You said I had to have a wrap. I got a wrap.
How many wraps have you had? You've had some wild wraps. I've seen some photos of the wrap boats.
That's it.
Was one purple and yellow?
Yeah.
You had a
That
wrap.
was Central Pro-Am days. What?
You had a wrapped Chevy Avalanche when I met you.
Yeah.
And it was canary yellow and purple.
Yeah. Mark Heights.
God, that thing was ugly.
It was pretty bad. It was the wrong color yellow. They didn't do the right color yellow.
Everybody around town knew you.
Yeah.
Oh, is that?
It's the worst thing. I will never have a wrap anything again.
Is that Avalanche that drives around Norman? Yeah, I'm interned with them. I've seen that thing everywhere.
It was bright, man. It was really, really, really bright.
And did you get paid to wrap, or did you just wrap it?
He wrapped it.
Did you wrap
Mark Heights wrapped it.
No, but the boats to
no, he did the whole
bass zone.
No, he did the whole thing. He was into the whole bass fishing thing. You remember when he built that dealership in Norman?
Yeah, it took him like 5 years.
What was the centerpiece of the dealership?
I never went in.
You never went inside there?
No.
He had like a 10,000-gallon aquarium.
Really?
Yeah. If you walk in there, I don't even know if it's still in there. Meanwhile, 10 years later, Mark Heights is resting on the beach in Hawaii somewhere.
Out of the car game?
Yeah, he had been out of it. Sold it, moved to Hawaii, living on the beach in Hawaii. In his beach house somewhere. Enjoying life. All right. Next week, I want to let everybody know this is a rarity. This is going to be the first time this week that we take the entire week off. I made the decision. It's a holiday week. I was trying to count, Matthew. I think we've done almost 150 shows this year. A lot of shows. And I will try, if I have time, to put some best of shows together for next week. But with it being the holiday, I'm going to take some time off. I don't have school, don't have anything going on. I'm going to go see my in-laws in Wichita and really try to enjoy this Thanksgiving week. And hopefully everybody out there can do the same with their family. Matthew, I know you've had a great year. You have a lot to be thankful for. So do I, with everything that I'm involved with, and very, very thankful. So next week, we are going to take the week off.
Also, I haven't mentioned it this week, but the third part of the AFCO Bass Boot Camp from the Costa Championship on Lake Cumberland, I actually broke it into 3 17-minute tournaments, the practice and days 1 and 2, and then you can just go to the AFCO YouTube channel and watch days 3. The fish catching, FLW Live, broken down, Rob Burns picking me up, getting back, going to the airport, picking up my girlfriend, getting back to Oklahoma. The whole thing is in there. So, yeah, do me a favor. Go over, watch that. Put a lot of effort and time into getting that. And then AFCO did a lot as far as support. So give their channel a follow and check out that video. It'll show you a lot of what not to do.
Yeah.
I get a little amped up, a little excited.
It's pretty
now
cool,
and
man.
then.
It's good stuff. All right, Chris in New Hampshire. Hey, send me another email. I don't know if you got my private message that I sent to you on the instant feedback. I just went in and checked again, and it's not there. So send me your email again. And there was, I think, one other person that did not get their Sunline prize pack. So I sent one out yesterday. I'm going to send another one out today.
We have to do an amendment to this. I'm really glad you brought that up.
What's that?
I got 2 text messages. 2 from people in the know. Doe strike is pronounced doe strike. Do strike. Do strike. D-O-S-T-R-I-K-E. Do strike.
Do strike.
I was calling it das strike and stuff.
Doe strike.
So Dave Rush goes, hey, it's do strike, dumbass. Then someone else who works for the company said it's doe strike. And I said, thank you. I have been informed. I would like to thank you for being more understanding with your explanation than Dave Rush was.
Wow.
So it's do strike.
Dave, on the instant feedback, what are you talking about? I don't see what you're talking about your Phoenix story. Where is it at? I don't see it anywhere. Did you post it? I got no problem posting it if it's okay.
We can go.
Oh, here it is right here. Hang on. Here we go. There. I just missed it. Sorry, man. I try to keep everybody happy. So next week, maybe some best of shows, maybe not, but I think it's really important everybody enjoy their family and enjoy the week of Thanksgiving. And then we will be back on Monday. I will have the shows lined up.
What the heck just happened here?
He just walked in.
Brad Hallman just walked into the studio at 9:42 with Chick-fil-A.
He didn't bring us anything.
You want to do the exit? You want in for 30 seconds?
No, you're good.
He's good. All right.
He's good. All right, you got big Thanksgiving plans? You going home?
Going home for a day.
Nice. Very nice. All
Big
right.
thanks to Jimmy Washam. I like it.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think he's going to do well.
Yeah, great stuff. So many thanks to all the guests this week. If you didn't watch it or listen to it on iTunes, you need to check it out. The interview with Larry Nixon, one of the all-time shows that we've done. And then on Monday, we had Scott Canterbury on. Great week. We will continue after Thanksgiving week here. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Hey, I want to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're close. I think we're at like almost 4,900. Really, really close.
You're all about the numbers.
Yeah, so tell your friends. We want to get to 5,000. The other number, I want to get to 1,000 reviews on iTunes. Keep the reviews coming in. And once again, $100 gift card.
I'm like a social media influencer.
From the 800 to... No, from the 700 to the 799.
Start posting bathing suit pictures that say like and follow. Social media influencer Mark Jeffries.
I don't even know what that
wants
is.
Likes and follows.
I have no idea what that is. This is legit because they have to have an established Apple account to be able to do a review.
And the more reviews and stuff, the more chance there are there's more shows because...
Yeah. It's good stuff.
I mean, I only did this for free for 10 years, and I've required some sort of form of payback over the last 2.
I'm finally paying him, folks. So keep the reviews coming so Matthew can continue to get paid.
35. Look at the bank account. I was like, I might want to get paid for doing this stuff.
All right, everybody. Have a great, great holiday week next week, and we will be back in December. That's it. I'm out of here. Everybody, stay tuned.